Fort San Pedro, Fuerte dan San Pedro, is a military defense structure in Cebu, Philippines. Built by the Spanish under the command of Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, first governor of the Captaincy General of the Philippines, it is located in the area now called Plaza Independencia, in the pier area of the city. The original fort was made of wood and built after the arrival of Legazpi and his expedition. In the early 17th century, a stone fort was built to repel Muslim invaders. Today's structure dates from 1783 and is the oldest triangular bastion fort in the country.
You think she still fires?
Sure.
It served as the nucleus of the first Spanish settlement in the Philippines. During the Philippine Revolution at the end of the 19th century, it was attacked and taken by Filipino revolutionaries who used it as a stronghold. The fort underwent major renovations in the late 19th century as part of a building program to improve Cebu. The victory of the Americans, led by Commodore Dewey at the Battle of Manila Bay on May 1st of 1898, marked the end of the Spanish era in the Philippine Islands. The fort was then surrendered by the Spaniards to the Cebuano revolutionaries. Fort San Pedro became a part of the American Warwick Barracks during the American regime. 1937 to 1941, the barracks were converted into a school where many Cebuanos received their formal education.
Lock me up, throw away the key.
During World War II, from 1942 to 1945, Japanese residents of the city took refuge within the walls. When the battle to liberate the city of Cebu from the Imperial Japanese forces was fought, the fort served as an emergency hospital for the wounded. Although already in ruins, the upper deck was utilized for different offices. First, as a clinic of the city health, as office of the Presidential Arm and Community Development, then the City Public Works Unit used the ruins of the lieutenant's quarters as its field office. In 1957, Mayor Sergio Osmena Jr. pronounced that his intention to demolish the Fort San Pedro would be met with the erection of a new city hall on the same site. Opposition was strongly voiced by the newspapers and magazines in Cebu City and Manila. Following pressure to drop the plan, Osmena backtracked and stated that he would instead use the space behind the fort. This fort has a complicated, strange, and winding history. In the same year of 1957, the City Council commissioned the Lamplighter, a religious sect, to manage a zoo, subsidized by the city, within the fort courtyard. By 1968, the facade, quarters, and walls of the original structures of Fort San Pedro were so obliterated that only the two towers were recognizable.
Oh, whoa, they went modern here.
Plans for the restoration of the fort was started and the zoo was relocated. The Fort San Pedro restoration was a tedious, time and labor-consuming project. To restore the fort as close to the original as possible, coral stones hauled from under the sea along Cebu's coastal towns were utilized. Delivered crudely, cut to the restoration site, the fort laborers did the final cutting and polishing to make the blocks fit each other. In present day, the fort is under the care and administration of the Cebu city government. Rightfully so, it is now a protected historical part. The Philippines has a strong cultural tie to the Spanish, which you can see everywhere. And it's fascinating to see this modern era as they are finally at freedom to discover where they themselves want to go in this modern age. With a long term of colonization by Spanish rule from 1521 to 1898, then American rule from 1898 to 1946, and then Japanese occupation from 1941 to 1946. They only experienced Philippine self-rule in 1946, up to this present day. The markers of many cultural influences have gone on to shape the varying cities within different islands, and the old roots of what the Filipino people believe, practiced, and how they lived before colonial rule cannot really be found outside the province. Even most of the holidays have Spanish influence or roots. Tribal holidays such as Cadayawan and Mindanao is an example of their old roots and cultural history. Take a trip out here to the land of islands and go hopping around, absorbing all that the Philippines has to offer.